In this video, I'm going to share with you about my search for meaning and purpose in my life and in my business, and how I ultimately was successful, and how that led me to developing my framework. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the co-founder of Kingdom Impact Lab, along with my incredible wife Tattoo, and we are here to we want to help Christian entrepreneurs with high ticket offers find more meaning and purpose in the work they do by showing them how you can integrate your faith with your business. And Tattoo is recording videos on the playlist called Motherhood Moments, where she's documenting her journey as a mother with 2 infants, where we plan to homeschool, and how to overcome the daily challenges that we have in an attempt to help others do the same. But our ultimate goal with Kingdom Impact Lab is to show and help people become more Christ-like in everything they do in all areas of life, from business and work and finances to relationships, parenting, marriage, health, fitness, all these different domains. So that's the little brief introduction. So let's have a look at Sam's search for meaning and purpose. So first I want to bring you back to one of the most significant days of my life, if not the most significant day of my life. It was the birth of my first son. We were sat in the hospital. My wife had given birth. We had to have an emergency cesarean section halfway through, so she had the worst of both worlds of going through the natural delivery and then having the surgery afterwards. So she was in the bed on medication, drowsy, recovering. The baby was outside in this little bassinet in the place where they have the newborn babies. And I'm just sat there in the room, not knowing what to do. And so at this time, I start to check my emails and I start to do some prospecting to try to find more clients for my at the time I was freelancing before I opened up my business. Well, I was replying to emails, trying to find work. The reason was because at that time we had very little money in the bank. We had just realised that we had to pay double because of the emergency cesarean section. We were deeply concerned about money and where's the next paycheck going to go to. This was when the governments around the world locked the world down and businesses couldn't operate and do things. So the client that I was working with at the time, they had a business which was heavily involved in physical interactions. Well, they couldn't operate, and so me, in my infinite wisdom, quote, tried to negotiate some kind of an arrangement where I'll work for free now or for a reduced fee now in exchange for you to pay me later. Well, when you do things like that, I can tell you it's not a good idea, because you're buying into the promise of this future payout, which may not happen, and in many cases it doesn't happen, and in this case it didn't happen. And this particular client owed me on paper, $20,000 or something silly like that, which was, multiple times over what we had left in the bank. Clinging to this. Well, it didn't come. My own fault for getting in that mess, and it's my own fault for being there, sat in the ward, trying to find more work. In hindsight, it wasn't really a good thing to do. 2 months later, I decided to end the contract with the client and just wipe off what was owed to me. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of the blue, a client came to me from a referral, and within the space of a month, I was making the financial target per month that I'd set myself for the previous 7 years. All of a sudden, literally in the blink of an eye, I'd gone from having no money, being broke, constantly worried about finances and the stress, and just imagine what it's like with a newborn baby and wife's recovering and first time with a baby, don't know what you're doing, and then the financial stress on top wasn't great. It was horrendous. And then, by some grace of God, client came as a referral. I quickly converted that into a retainer contract, and suddenly I was making the amount that I've been aiming for on a monthly basis for the previous years. And so quickly I became financially secure within a couple of months, because the cost of living where we live is relatively low, and all of a sudden we found that we had a lot of extra cash that we never had before, and so naturally went into consumerism and different things, which, or buying designer clothes instead of just a normal pair of clothes. Like, I bought a pair of brand name shoes for probably $150, which I only wore once a week, and now I never wear at all, because it's that very hard shoes to put on, especially when you're holding a new baby. So again, that's basically the path that we were on. And so with the extra money, we decided to make investments, which, again, in hindsight, divinely paid off for us. And I decided to set up my former marketing agency, Freedom in Marketing. The goal of my company, Freedom in Marketing, was to make money, and to make money for freedom and lifestyle. And that's pretty much what I was after for 2.5 years before I decided I can't get this business to work. I'm putting all my money into it and I'm not getting anything out. And so while I was constantly trying to find contractors to work with, constantly trying to find people who can consult me and tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I should be doing differently, constantly buying training and various things to help me understand what to do, but none of it worked. And so I'm going through this process here of I'm trying to find the meaning and purpose of what I'm doing, because I just couldn't get motivated by it, quite frankly. I'd reached a level of financial security which happened in a relatively short period of time, and so just a quick side note here, that if you have a high-priced offer, a high-ticket service kind of thing, one thing to be aware of is that your financial situation can change quickly within the matter of months, and it only takes one client or one or two, like a small handful of clients, to significantly transform your financials, whether it's a freelance or in your business. So just be aware of that if you're discouraged. But anyway, I digress. Back to my story. So I couldn't find any meaning and purpose, because I'm trying to do these sort of cut and paste, templatized, automated outreach, and doing this and trying that and doing the other. Nothing would work. And so after I achieved my financial target as a freelancer, the natural thing is to think, well, what's next? What's the next milestone? So because I'm just chasing money, which is kind of like chasing the horizon, I just arbitrarily decided to more than double what I wanted to make per month, for no other reason than, quote, freedom and lifestyle. And I sat there imagining all of the holidays we'd have and all of the things we'd do and all of the things that we'd have. Well, I kind of thought, well, I can afford to go on holiday now more often, but I don't. I come up with excuses. I could afford to do this now and donate a different course I want, or actively participate in community things, but I don't. What makes me think I'm going to do it if I have more money? Well, the more money you get, marketing concept is that people are more afraid of losing what they've already gained than taking a chance to gain more than what they already have. fear of loss is a real psychological thing, and the more money that you get, the more anxious you are about losing it, especially if that's provided you some level of financial security. The more greed's going to kick in, where you want to have more and watch it grow, and the less generous you are, the less likely you are to spend it, and quite frankly, the more you scale your business, realistically, unless you design your business in the right way, the more it's going to put demand on your time, so the less likely you have to have free time, unless you deliberately design it that way, which if you're just chasing money, you won't, because you're trying to get more money. I fell into that trap. So for me, the thing was that I'd been chasing a financial target for 7 years as a freelancer, and I achieved it. And then within a short amount of time, I decided I'm going to more than double what I wanted to aim for. So what took me 7 years to do, I now wanted to more than double it. And so immediately, instead of reflecting on the accomplishment that I had and reflecting on the blessing that I had in terms of suddenly having some level of financial security, I'm now focusing on what I have not yet achieved, which got demotivating. And then you lose a client, or you lose your main client, and then all of a sudden you've got a massive mountain to climb, but there's no meaning or significance behind climbing that massive mountain to dig yourself out of a hole to actually hit your financial target. There's no why. There's more to it than chasing revenue. That was my experience, and then it was painful, really painful what I went through, because it's painful now in hindsight, reflecting back at all the sins I committed in the chase for money, and it was extremely painful at the time of going through what I had to do, because I just thought, what's the point in me trying to do what I'm doing? And it led to burnout. I had meltdowns. I lost sleep a lot of nights. I constantly allowed doing inherently meaningless tasks, outreach stuff, and trying to do this and trying to focus on making some kind of funnel to get clients and all of this stuff, at the expense of relationships and family and all of these things, and very selfish what I was doing. And I used to justify it, but well, I'm the breadwinner, I've got to do this. And, in hindsight, perhaps not the best thing to do. I remember having meltdowns, throwing things around, obviously upsetting my son and upsetting my wife, and more than once things like that happened, and just generally not good. And this just went on for months and months, and then months turned into a year, and then I'm just spending all of this money trying to find the solution to get the business to work. I couldn't. I hired coaches to help me find my meaning and purpose so I could inject that into the business. Didn't work. I tried to find meaning and purpose by injecting my own personality and what makes me unique as an individual into business relationships. Did it work? Absolutely not, because it just led to situations like me mentoring, coaching, and just showing interest in people's lives, to just be met with, well, all of that stuff's nice, Sam, but I'm paying you for X, Y, and Z, which happened more than once, and just it sucked, to put it succinctly, and so that's what it was like before. I just couldn't find any meaning or purpose to what I did, and then it ultimately led to me closing the business, because I just couldn't do it anymore. I just had no motivation, no interest, no excitement, no passion. It basically put all my money into it and then lost all the money. Nothing worked. Bad relationships with clients, bad relationships with freelancers. It was just generally generally bad. And then all of a sudden, after I became a Christian and started to look at things through the Christian lens, and I started to study the Bible, I studied people like Jordan Peterson on what he taught about biblical concepts, and all of a sudden, in a short amount of time, I had clarity. I knew what I needed to do. I understood that it wasn't me. It was the environment that I was in. It was that I was a person operating on transactional principles, where the only goal and objective is to make money, and so naturally making money is your North Star, and every decision that you make, consciously or subconsciously, is based on making money. You then treat other humans as an ROI, as a cost per hour, as, you know, like in reviewing a profit and loss, you know, nothing more than that, which completely went against who I was as a person, and that was the reason why I had bad relationships with freelancers that I work with, bad relationships with contractors, bad relationships with clients, because all my marketing, everything I did selling my service was, hey, I'm going to help you get a 6x return on investment, or here's how this client made a 8 times return on their investment within 14 days, or here's how I made one client $250,000 in 30 days. You know, when I'm presenting all of these case studies, bragging about the results I've got, well, naturally that's the kind of people that I'm going to attract, that just want the relationship based on, I want to use your services in order to make this much money, and they view you as a return on investment. And I was directly told once by a client that he said to me that he currently gets a 6x return on investment on ads, and the only reason he's paying me to manage his email marketing is because I can get him. It's only worthwhile if I can get him a 6x return on their investment or more, because otherwise why not just spend the money on ads? And I was told that in no uncertain terms, which, okay, fair enough, there's nothing wrong with that, but who I was as a person, that didn't really resonate. And so obviously I set myself up into this environment based on my own actions and the own things I did myself. It was my own fault for getting in that mess, but it wasn't my own fault for having that mindset. And here's why. And if it wasn't my fault of having that mindset, it certainly is not your fault too. It's just that I'm aware of what happened, I'm aware of the process, and I've lived through it, so I can articulate it. You know, I can articulate what happened for me, and maybe you can see a little bit of yourself in that story. And so for me, everything that I did from when I first became a freelancer was I wanted to become the best I could be. I was pursuing excellence, and so I studied everything I could. I listened to podcasts as much as I could. I bought training programs, I had coaching, and I studied and learned and did everything I had to do for years and years and years. Even to the point where I heard copywriters that I respected say that they learn their trade by handwriting out copy to get it programmed into your subconscious, and I did that for hours and hours and hours, probably hundreds of hours in total over a period of time, in order to learn the flow of copy and all of this stuff, which, you know, has paid off, because I know how to write sales copy now, kind of thing. But that's the kind of commitment I had to doing things. Well, everything in business and marketing is in a secular marketplace, and everything in the secular marketplace, you don't integrate your faith into it, and everything in the secular marketplace is inherently transactional, which is based on money. So everything that I learned and studied, all the principles and everything, was always through the transactional lens. And it was always through, if you're not making a return on your investment, you need to stop it. If you're not making money from this, you need to stop doing it. It was always money first, impact second kind of thing, rather than impact first, money second. And so it was because of the environment that I was in, that the natural zeitgeist of the marketplace, if you like, the spirit of the marketplace, which is entirely transactional, is naturally going to influence your decisions, both consciously and subconsciously, in what you do. And that's why my business did not align with who I am deep down in a person. And it took my own personal transformation of becoming a Christian to understand who I was as a person first, before I could become aware of why there was a mismatch between the business I was trying to build for freedom and lifestyle, and who I was as a person, which is naturally I want to help people and have an impact and do things for the benefit of others. There was that natural mismatch, but I just couldn't articulate it. And you know, it was because I'd studied and all the influence I took was from the secular marketplace based on transactions. My colleagues and friends and people I interacted with, you know, in this space were the same. The way I attracted clients to my business was the same, transactional. The way I hired people onto my team was the same, transactional. No wonder there was a mismatch between who I am as a person, what I wanted to do, and why I couldn't get it to work. No wonder I felt that disillusionment. No wonder I felt burnout. No wonder there was no meaning and purpose in what I was doing, because, you know, chasing more money when you're already financially secure is, how could it be motivating? Because if you're financially secure, you've lifted up the burden of financial concerns. When you're in the early stages of your business, or in the early stages of your life and doing whatever, you have to chase money. Yes, you need to become financially secure. One of the biggest stresses in life that people have is because of money. Divorce, one of the common reasons for divorce is money. People become slaves to money, slaves to debt, slaves to people that they don't want to work with in their job, or who mistreat them in exchange for a paycheck. You have to become financially secure before you can transcend and think about other things. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have to first put food and water on the table and have shelter over your head before you can start philosophizing about the meaning of life, right? So, yes, you have to focus on money first, and then you have financial security. But then you have to start. That's when you're going to start to search for more meaning and purpose, and well, what's kind of the point of this? And you know, for me, just so this video doesn't go on for 3 hours, which I could very, very easily do if I'm not careful, is so my before was for 34 years of my life was chasing money. 34 and a half years of my life, I should say, was chasing money, and I found no meaning in it, no meaning or purpose other than achieving financial security. And when I achieved that, you know, indulging myself in consumerism felt good for a brief period of time, but then it just went away. Wasn't lasting. It was like the dopamine hits the dopamine release that you get if you're taking drugs and things, that you're always chasing the first high. It did not work for me. I became a Christian and found, after studying the Bible, that a lot of these things in here perfectly matches the human condition, and it certainly describes me. And apart from the experiences that I had, which are statistically improbable, you'll see that in the previous video where I shared my testimony. Apart from that, if I reflect on my life, there's been countless miracles, which, you know, so many miracles of things that have happened in my life to put me in this position right now, where I'm able to pursue what I believe to be my purpose. I can't really deny it. I've been blessed in so many ways in order to put me in this position where I am. The transformation that I've experienced really isn't. I cannot deny the transformation I've had, and how going from before to after, where everything now has meaning. I'm excited about recording videos, even though I know nobody's watching them. Just doesn't concern me at all. Whereas before, I'm recording videos, trying to follow a script or a structure, because that's what I should do, because I need to follow this script or structure to get conversions. No views of this, I just couldn't. Why am I doing this? And no one's watching. I'm not getting a return on investment in this, and then instantly flipped. And the reason is because your purpose is found through Christ. And for me specifically, and what I believe to be true for everyone, is purpose and meaning in life is the pursuit of becoming Christ-like in what you do. And if you pursue becoming Christ-like in everything you do, which is through business, work, finances, family, parenting, marriage, relationships, health and fitness, education, pretty much everything that you can name. If you pursue Christ-likeness in everything you do, and you actively do it, you will have a transformation. You will feel fulfillment and joy. You are making meaningful progression towards a goal, which is impossible to attain. It's impossible to become Christ-like by the very definition of what Christ-likeness is. You're making incremental, meaningful progress towards a goal, which inherently has ultimate meaning. That's what I found for me. That's why I started Kingdom Impact Lab. It allows me, after identifying what my gifts are, in order, if I can identify what my gifts are, I then know how to steward my gifts for the benefit of others, to help others, and I can use my business to do that. And that's kind of what it is for me, and that's my transformation story. In the next video, I will explain the framework that I have developed, and that framework is what I've gone through and what has helped me, and hopefully you'll find value in that too. That's all. See you next time.